Election results in New York City, Virginia, and New Jersey. It was a Democratic sweep, of sorts. In New York City, the Democrat Andrew Cuomo, the only candidate qualified to be mayor of New York City, who was running as an independent, lost to a self-described Democratic socialist, Zohran Mamdani, who was running on the Democratic line. The voters embraced Mamdani's vacuous promises to freeze the rent, make the buses free, replace the NYPD with social workers, and to globalize the Intifada. Now, we can learn a lot from this election result. The voters who turned out for Mamdani in droves are a lot meaner than we thought. And like so many folks in the Democratic coalition, they love crime. They identify more with criminals than with the NYPD. And it seems Mamdani's voters don't understand that their taxes will go up. Okay, because Mamdani's promise to eat the rich will cause the rich to flee New York City. So their own taxes will have to go up to fund all of that free stuff. So it won't really be free stuff. They will be paying for that stuff with tax increases on their own incomes, which they've already said is not enough. But who cares about that? They can shop in the government-run grocery stores, okay? One in each borough. Meanwhile, in Virginia, the pundits have been saying loudly for months that a Democratic sweep would be a victory for the moderate wing of the Democratic Party. But none of the Democrats elected in Virginia are moderates. Now let's look at the election results in Virginia. A Democratic sweep. Jay Jones was elected Attorney General of Virginia, a man whose text message scandal should have doomed his campaign. Let's recall he fantasized in text messages about killing a political rival, Republican Todd Gilbert, now U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Virginia. In text messages, Jay Jones said he would put 2 bullets in the brain of Todd Gilbert before Hitler or Pol Pot. Vile. So that's the next AG of Virginia. And if I may interject here, Jay Jones should have lost. The current AG, Jason Miyares, who's done a great job, had a record on consumer protection that maybe wasn't strong enough to carry him to a second term. Now, he didn't do enough for the people. That was the perception. There was even talk of Jason Miyares going for a second term as AG to a run for governor. A bit premature on that if we're looking beyond the campaign right in front of us. The voters pushed him aside to elect Jay Jones, who maybe they think will at least defend the people against debt collectors for medical bills and stuff like that. Which is important, okay? So Jason Miyares is a great prosecutor, but he was running for a second term, and his first term record obviously was perceived as soft on consumer protection. And with Black Friday coming up this month, I believe that was a mistake because Americans love shopping. Anyway, if I'm wrong about that, please tell me in the comments below. Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger was elected, a candidate with no executive experience and a radical voting record. She voted for biological males to be allowed into women's restrooms and girls' locker rooms. She supports transgender males participating in girls' sports. She supports early release for violent felons and opposes deporting criminal illegal aliens. She voted against the Laken Riley Act. Her election, in my view, resembles the Mamdani election in New York City. The voters who turned out for her were just a lot meaner than anyone anticipated. When you vote for biological males in women's restrooms and girls' locker rooms, even after the well-publicized in Northern Virginia by so-called transgender males in girls' school bathrooms, when you vote for biological males to compete in women's sports, which allows males to pummel girls in boxing, for example, and you're elected, that's meanness in the electorate. Virginia Lieutenant Governor Ghazala Hashmi, the Democrat who refused even to debate her opponent, won the election over Republican John Reed II. So, I mentioned in previous videos that Hashmi deserved to lose since she didn't even show up for the debate, which on a basic level shows a lack of effort on her part. She's not hardworking. She's the opposite of someone like President Trump, for example. And she represents the opposite of values that are rewarded in a market economy. So her election doesn't bode well for the economy of Virginia, in my view. Now, when hard work is punished instead of rewarded, it's socialism in action. or inaction rather, that's the more accurate term. Her inaction was rewarded this election cycle. New Jersey. I haven't been following this one closely. The Democrat, Mikey Sherrill, was elected governor over Republican Jack Ciattarelli. On a macro level, in all of these elections, it was a blue wave driven by populist anger. I hope the voters don't get stuck there because we all have the ability within ourselves. We need to use our creativity, our God-given gifts. And it doesn't matter where we are in the United States or elsewhere. God can help us wherever we find ourselves. I believe it's more rational to try to make things work in places where we don't have legal barriers to our prosperity. For instance, people throughout the world want to come to the United States, but if they can't come here legally, they could try to model in their home countries the greatness of the United States. If we want to change the world, we have to start with ourselves, as the saying goes. The economic changes we're seeing now, which surely played a role in the elections, are the result of technology. AI, for example, is even putting software programmers out of business. Let's think about that. Very smart people with degrees in computer science, or maybe they completed the coding boot camps run by Google and Microsoft, which are very demanding. They have to be very, very smart, and yet their skills are now obsolete because AI can do what they can do without a salary and benefits. Now, people talk about the affordability crisis. Technology has a lot to do with it, and until that problem is solved, there's going to be a lot of pain out there among the electorate, a lot of meanness. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.